This is Lance from Lance's Auto Vlog, and I'm back with another rescue. So a customer has a Chevy Impala. I think it's a 2008. Yeah, and he tasked me to go through his car because I had done some work for him before, and he had some challenges with this car. It has some good equipment. He's got he had a Kenwood radio, but didn't do CarPlay. He has Rockford speakers in here, and the last car I did for him had a DSP with some stock speakers in it. He's got Rockford amps, and he wanted me to go through the whole thing and just figure it all out and see what needs to be changed, what needs to be working the way it should be, what should be wired right. That way he gets dialed in. So the first was to go through the car and find out what was wrong. So originally we pulled everything apart. I've taken it apart since then. They had his amps wired here to the starter solenoid. That's not something I recommend to doing anybody's car. You want to at least attach to the battery because that's a big reserve power. Then he was complaining about the fact that his Bluetooth mic wasn't working. He has unique kind of characteristics. He wants a CD player. He wanted the Bluetooth to work. So we found out why his Bluetooth wasn't working. It's because for some reason someone had cut the mic wire, and that's why it was like that. And then we went through everything. So they ran 4-gauge 1/0 wire from front to back, which is good. They had it connected up there, which is kind of bad. They mounted the amps upside down, which I guess is okay if that's what the customer wanted. But the amps are mounted upside down, but the wiring in here is a little different. So they use great wiring for the power, and then they use cheap wiring for the ground. So this is copper clad aluminum, CCA. And then this wire here is CCA. And then if you notice that they ran new wires up here, it might be a little dark, but there's different wires here. But the wires connected here are different colors. So they kind of like did halfway there. So we're gonna clean it all up, add some other stuff to the vehicle. We'll get it all dialed in and get it working the way it should be. So the first task is to get it all apart. The second task is to, after we evaluate it, got him prices for everything, which we'd already done that. Just get it all dialed in the way it should be. So we're just gonna add a couple things to it. That's really all there is to it. And get it cleaned up and make it sound the way it's supposed to. And we're also gonna put a DSP in here. Every system gets a DSP if we can do it. Stay tuned. So we're currently working on this car, and we're looking at the wiring. And it's not horrible from the standpoint of wiring. It's not something I would do, but it's not horrible. Obviously we're gonna clean it up because we're gonna change the radio out and put a different USB and all that good stuff. But we got the car apart, and the wires are ran, RCA's ran on the side up here, which I could live with. And then they ran up to here, which is kind of strange. But then they ran up here where the factory amp was located. There'd be butt connectors. Oh, maybe, okay. But then they ran speaker wire to another speaker wire to another speaker wire because there's a butt connector over here. 3 connections, not including the radio. One, 2, 3, and then connected to the speaker. You could just run the wire real quick. And then we got the ground here. So they stuck the wire in there. It looked like they tried to solder it, which they did probably. But they use CCA wire with OFC wire. I'm still amazed. Why go to all the trouble if you're not gonna run good stuff and run half the good stuff? Because it's only as good as half the wires. So we got the wiring done on this car. So we basically cleaned up everything, grounded new ground here. Running brand new wires, all new ground, 4-gauge, everything's loomed. And then we got, since everything's up here, the customer, we wanted to keep everything up here, no big deal. So we got the fuse holder here, and then we got all the wiring done up here. So you got the amps, the right side's fuse wire, everything loomed, physically loomed up there. You got the base knob, you got everything put in there. We also made a bracket for it, as you can see. So it's all done like there. Then we put all new wiring there, you can see. And then we put a bit tin in because that fits the budget. It's still around. In this setup, we found out that the camera radio we're using, AM, FM, CD, DVD we're using high level in, because you can use low level, but then you want to have, there's no reason to use really low level, because we want to put a bass knob in and it made it simpler. And we use high level so we would get over any kind of challenges with noise. And we basically found the radio clips about 29, so the customer could turn up to 29 without a problem once we set all the gains. And the one good thing about Rockford amps is that they do have a clipping circuit in it that tells you when you're setting it up, if you do it correctly, when the amplifiers are clipping. So we went through all that to test to make sure that radio, what it clips at, to make sure the DSP is set up correctly where it clips at, and that way the amps clip at a certain level. And we also checked phase, and then we also cleaned up all this wiring over here. So it's power and ground. We ran all the power wires here, and then we made the fuse holder over here, and it looks good. So I'll go through the